Hello, in this video I am going to show you my ice barrier deck. So let's start with the ice barrier monsters. 3 copies of Revealer of the ice barrier. Revealer is the most important one in your deck because you can discard 1 card, special summon 1 ice barrier tuner from your deck. Also you cannot special summon except water monster during this turn. So this is the most important one to get your synchro plays going. Also 3 copies of Speaker of the ice barrier. If you control another ice barrier monster, you can special summon this from your hand. Also you can banish it from your grave to summon a level 1 token. So for example, if you have those two combined in your hand, you can basically make any synchro monster from level 9 to level 11 or even 12, but 11 is the highest in this deck. And so to get 3 monsters on the field, you want other water monsters because of this restriction, water only. You want to play other water monsters that can special summon themselves or that special summon this one. So I play 2 Silent Angler, can special summon itself. 2 Silent Sea Nettle can special summon themselves. Also they have a nice secondary effect to shuffle water monsters back into your deck from the grave. 1 copy of Tin Goldfish. If it is normal summoned, you can special summon a level 4 monster. So all those monsters' purpose is to get 3 monsters, including a tuner, with this effect on the field. As for tuners, you only need to play 1 of every level, because this summons them out of the deck anyways, and the ice barrier tuners themselves are pretty weak, so I only play 1 copy of every level. For level 1, Hexa, the spirit of the ice barrier. This can also change its level. For level 2, Cryomancer of the ice barrier. And for level 3, Geomancer of the ice barrier. Other ice barrier monsters, 2 copies of Wayne. If you control an ice barrier monster and your opponent also controls a monster, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if this card is summoned, you can add an ice barrier spell or trap from your deck to your hand. So a nice searching effect, but for it to work, both you need an ice barrier monster, and your opponent also needs to control a monster to special summon this card from your hand. It's a level 5, so otherwise summoning it otherwise is difficult because it's level 5. I think 2 copies for this card is ideal because you can't always special summon it, but most of the time the effect is great. And the last ice barrier monster I play is 1 Prior of the ice barrier. You can tribute this card to special summon an ice barrier monster from your graveyard. It's a great effect, but 1 copy is enough, I think. Oh, and another one, Judge of the ice barrier. I also play this one because it has a very nice effect that can be useful against many decks. You can target 1 or 2 ice barrier monsters in your graveyard and 1 or 2 cards in your opponent's graveyard, shuffle them into the deck. This effect is great against many meta decks. You just need one Ice Barrier monster in your graveyard to shuffle two cards from your opponent's graveyard back into their deck. Very useful effect. And also I forgot to tell you, Wayne has another effect other than special summoning and searching. As long as Wayne is on the field, spells and traps sent from the field to your opponent's graveyard are banished instead. So this effect can actually win you games against Eldritch, for example. That's another great effect of Wayne. Then I play hand traps. You can also play 3 Maxi. I only have 2 because I don't have anymore. I only have those 2 copies. So you can also play 3 Maxi, of course. 3 Ash. And the last monster I play is 1 Link Apple. An underrated card in my opinion. It's basically a free draw, a free upstart goblin. If you don't have any Link monsters in your extra deck, you can discard this card to draw a card. Then spells, traps, of course 1 Feather Duster, 1 Monster Reborn, 1 Lightning Storm, 3 Upstart Goblin to get your important cards quicker, 3 Medallion of the Ice Barrier. Medallion of the Ice Barrier lets you add an Ice Barrier monster from your deck to your hand. Also you can activate all of them during the same turn, so no once per turn restriction. 3 Forbidden Chalice, just a great card. Also in this deck you prefer to go second, so if your opponent has a negating monster on the field, this is perfect. 2 Wins Over the Ice Barrier. This card is basically used in case you don't have this in your hand, but you have a different Ice Barrier monster. You can tribute that other Ice Barrier monster to instead special summon another Ice Barrier monster, of course this one from your deck. So you play this card to get this out of your deck. And if you already have this, you can still use it to discard this card and then use the second effect next turn. During the next turn, not during the same turn it was sent to the grave, but during the next turn you can banish it to add an Ice Barrier monster from your graveyard to your hand. One Freezing Chains of the Ice Barrier. You can target 1 level 4 or lower Ice Barrier monster in your graveyard, special summon it. So if you have this in your graveyard, you can special summon Prior and then tribute it to special summon any Ice Barrier from your graveyard. So otherwise you can only special summon level 4 or lower. With this in your grave, you can use this effect then to special summon a bigger one instead. Also, usually what I do in this deck, if I activate this card, is to summon Deloran, or however you pronounce his name, to return it back to my hand. So if you keep returning it with Deloran, you can use it every turn, because it's a permanent spell. And I only play 1 trap, Solemn Scalding. It works great if you don't play other traps or face down spells. It has the condition if this is the only set card in your spell and trap zone, and it's basically always the only set card in this deck. You can negate basically anything, spell card, trap card, or monster effect, or monster summon for 3000 life points. think in this deck this works better than Solemn Judgment because negating monster effects is so important. Then regarding the extra deck, you should play, I don't have it, Bahamut Shark would be great for this deck. Bahamut Shark and the Toad Exceed, totally awesome. Those two are a great combo. I just don't have them, so you should play those two. Totally awesome and Bahamut Shark. Then of course you have to play the Ice Barrier Synchros. Of course Trishula. When this card is summoned you can banish one card each from your opponent's hand, field and graveyard. Those Ice Barrier Synchro monsters are basically what the whole deck is all about. To summon those two and banish your opponent's cards to win the games. So Trishula is in level 9. And then there is also a level 11 Trishula, Trishula Zero Dragon of the Ice Barrier. When this card is synchro summoned, you can banish up to 3 cards your opponent controls. So this banishes only from the field, but up to 3 cards. You can banish 3 cards from your opponent's field. And it has another great effect. If it is destroyed by an opponent's card, you can special summon the level 9 one, the other Trishula level 9, from your extra deck or graveyard. Its attack becomes 3300 instead of 27. Then half the attack of any face-up monsters your opponent currently controls. Also negate their effects. So this is a great effect on destruction. Those two are the most important ones, depending if you want to banish multiple cards from your opponent's field, or one each from their field, hand and graveyard. Then the already mentioned one copy of Delorean, usually to return this to the hand. One level 5 water, 2500 attack, Crystron Amatrix. You can change all face-up special sound monsters your opponent controls to defense position. One white aura dolphin. This card is actually surprisingly good. Once per turn, you can target one face-up monster your opponent controls. Its attack becomes half its original attack until the end of this turn. And the second part is even better. If this card is destroyed by an opponent's card and sent to your grave, you can banish one other water monster from your graveyard, special summon this card, and if you do, it is treated as a tuner. So as long as it is destroyed, it can keep coming back as long as you have water monsters in your grave, which is basically always the case in this deck. So it's difficult to get rid of, and if it resummons itself it becomes a tuner. So you can use it to summon this one, White Aura Behamut. It's one tuner synchro monster, so this one, plus one non-tuner monster, so this and the level 4. During your turn, when this card is synchro summoned, you can special summon one Divine Dragon token, 3/3, 3000 in defense position. Once per opponent's turn, while you control no tokens, you can special summon one Divine Dragon token. If this card you control is destroyed by an opponent's card, affecting sent to your graveyard, while you control a Divine Dragon token, you can special summon this card in defense position. Then one level 7 water, Glacial Beast, Iceberg Narwhal. First effect doesn't do much, but second effect, during the battle phase, when your opponent activates a card effect, while you control another monster, you can negate that effect, and if you do, destroy that card. So as long as you have another monster, you can negate battle phase effects with this one. Then one level 8, I'm not sure if I have any level 8 water monsters by now. I think I picked this one because I didn't have any level 8 water synchros. Also, I'm not sure if there are any. Yeah, I don't have any of those, so I play this for level 8. And then rank 4 Exceed. I already mentioned you should play Bahamut Shark and Totally Awesome. Then the second best rank 4 Exceed for this deck, and this I actually have this one, is number 4 Stealth Kraken. This is a great card, 2 level 4 water monsters, all face up monsters on the field, so your opponents too become water once per turn during the main phase, quick effect, so works during the opponent's turn. You can destroy one water monster your opponent controls, and they are water, face up are water because of this effect. And if you do, inflict damage to your opponent equal to half the attack it had on the field. Also, if this Exceed summoned card is destroyed, you can special summon Stealth Kraken spawns. Those two, those are the spawns. From your extra deck up to the number of materials this card had. Then you can attach up to one water monster from your graveyard to each of those special summoned monsters as material. So if this gets destroyed, you get to special summon those, and they have the effect. Again, you can destroy one water monster your opponent controls, but you won't be able to use this most of the time because this doesn't change the attribute. But the most important part is the second one. If this card special summoned by the effect of a number Exceed monsters, so special summoned by this, is destroyed, you can special summon other Stealth Kraken monsters from your graveyard up to the number of materials this card had. Then you can attach up to one water monster from your graveyard to each of those special summoned monsters as material. So if this gets destroyed, you get this one back again. So as long as they get destroyed, it's a loop, they keep summoning each other as long as they get destroyed. And then the rest of those extra deck monsters are just the best low rarity Exceed monsters I had. I recommend playing whatever rank 4 Exceed monsters you have, the best rank 4 Exceed monsters you have. In my case that was number 70 Malevolent Sin, number 52 Diamond Crab King, number 80 Rhapsody in Berserk. This lets you banish 2 cards from your opponent's graveyard. And number 50 Black Ship of Corn. I think this is the most useless, so you should change this card for one of the aforementioned better ones. So usually if you have the choice, you win the coin toss, you should go second with this deck, since you play hand traps to disturb the opponent's first turn, and you need one more card to increase the likelihood of getting your combo pieces. And then on your first turn, you try to get this out of your deck to use its effect and special summon one of the Trishula synchro monsters, either the 9 or the 11, depending on the situation. And if this works, if your opponent doesn't negate it, it gives you a big advantage at the start of the game already. And if you can't synchro this is usually the way to go. Rank 4 Exceed for Stealth Kraken can be very troublesome to deal with for the opponent.